Why the fingernail polish?
Well, it's funny. The girl at the UPS store, this is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 7 years I've had my fingernails painted. And, when I talk to kids, they're like, why are your fingernails painted? And I said, well, because I'm a superhero. That's what I said to the girl at the UPS store today. And then I walked out. I'm like, you never looked at a superhero's nails? They're painted. They're like, really? But when I talk to adults and they say, why do you paint your fingernails? And I say, well, honestly, I just don't believe in telling kids what to do. And then I pause. And they're like, oh. And when you say that to a teacher, they're like, well, what do you mean? You don't ever tell your own kids what to do? I said, well, one of the secrets to leadership, and we've really developed our own brand of leadership. And I really boil leadership down to three main components, which is our influence, environment, and then, of course, you got the Brian Cain special, that leadership is not about what we say, it's about what we
do.
That's right. And, all of leadership comes down to those three things. When I talk to kids about leadership, like, we don't just talk bullying. We talk a tremendous amount about empathy, compassion. We talk about things like leadership and goal setting and other motivational things. But I have a whole hour-long thing I do with kids on leadership. And these are all different lessons in leadership. And this is my technology lesson, right? Leaders in technology. You should know that as a leader, how you should and shouldn't use your technology. This is, red thumb reminder. And it's how I started the whole thing. And, how many kids die every day in North America because people
text and drive.
11 kids die every day in North America. And truly, honestly, it's not really so much about texting and driving as it is about the little things that we do as adults, that we tell kids to do one thing, but we show them something completely different. Now, half of every kids I talk to, I always say to kids, I say, your parents are you get your license, your parents are going to tell you two things. Don't
drink and drive.
And don't
text and drive.
That's right. And, how many of you have seen your parents like, I just got to type this one word. Okay, I'm done. Yeah. Like, that's what parents do, right? But they tell you something completely different, right? Yeah, or they show you something completely different, right? And the reality is, how many things do you, Cain, tell people, but show them something completely different? It's like the kid, and I say this to kids all the time. I say, this is the age you're going to start messing around with cigarettes and vaping. And I'm not even here to tell you not to, like, whatever, dude. It's not healthy, but if you're going to do it and experiment, I get it. But when your 6-year-old little brother catches you with a cigarette, you're going to say, oh, you have no idea what kind of stress I'm under. And mom and dad are getting a divorce and you just don't get it. And I say, no. All you're supposed to do is be like, here, you want one, bro? To your 6-year-old little brother. And every kid will be like, oh, I'd never do that. Well, that's exactly what you're doing, man, when you show them, right? Because that's what you're doing. You're showing them something completely different. So this is really an inventory when I talk to parents or teachers of you should really think about deeply all the things as a leader that you tell people, but you show them something completely different. Technology, this is my lesson on hope, right? Because when you cross your fingers, you hope for something, and there's nothing greater a leader can give his people than hope. That's my commitment finger, and that's just super fun to do that in schools because teachers are like, what? I'm like, no, that's my commitment finger. That's my forgiveness finger. That's my commitment finger. I think that's the greatest lesson in life is forgiveness. And I have stories for all of these, and I would take the next hour of your time to tell them. This is my one on hopelessness, and this is the little piggy. He did what all the way home?
Oh, man, hang on.
Wee. Didn't pee. He cried all the way home, right? The little piggy. He went wee all the way home, right? And so this is the little piggy. And, what did the little piggy need? He needed some massive amounts of significance or purpose because he didn't have any, and he needed acceptance. And those are the two core things that drive a kid or a person, a human, into hopelessness is meaning or purpose and human acceptance. So again, I have individual real life stories for each one of them that I tell. But it lets me pull people aside all the time because I find that in my personal life, in the restaurant game, nothing changes, man. You're talking to humans. We started this conversation on relationships, and every single day, my job, I tell kids all the time, I say, you're going to be on the big stage someday in a coffin. We can talk about it. It's inevitable. It's actually good to talk about stuff like that. We don't talk about that enough in life, but you're going to be on that big stage someday. And nobody's coming. I say, you know who's going to show up? The people whose life you've affected in a positive way. That's it. Nobody's coming and talking about how big your house was, Cain, or your car, or how big this was or that was. They're all coming because of the way you positively impacted their lives. I'll be there. I'm going to do your eulogy, actually. I'm doing it too.